We're back here on our program, Jones and Company, and we are speaking about healthcare today on our program. And in the first segment, you heard from the Minister of Health, Dr. Dwayne Sands, and he is still here. But we are joined by the Deputy Chairman of the Public Hospitals Authority, Mr. Robert Carron, and we need to thank him very much for organizing our tour the other day. And Minister, we get the impression that he was there for many years because he knows the hospital well.
If you've seen him at work and see the things that he has physically repaired at Princess Margaret Hospital, I'm not talking about had organized to be repaired, that he repaired himself. We're going to make him honorary PMH staff. Okay?
And the thing about it, the staff know him.
Yes, yes.
The staff.
You know, Mr. Carron, you took us down to the laundry.
Yes, sir.
And you were talking about committed people in that laundry.
Yeah.
And I want you to tell the public about the laundry and how it was and what you are going to do to improve it.
Thank you, and thank you for coming here, Minister. How are you? Yeah, the first day I arrived, I said to my wife, I'll be a couple seconds, I'm just going to go see what the situation's like. Stay here, we're on a date night, I'll be right back. So I went. I wasn't going to the A&E because that's where our minister is. I'll go to the laundry. Can't be anything too much wrong with there. It was in a state of shambles, and I met this lovely, amazing lady, Mrs. Comer and her team, who shared with me, that first of all, they said, visiting hours are over. I said, well, I'm not even visiting, I'm on a tour. She says, tour, this is not a tourist institution. I said, well, okay, I don't want to let you know, but Deputy Chairman, should keep that quiet, but I'm just here for a tour. So she says, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, follow me. And so she showed me, and so she said, we have no washing machines, no dryers. The folding machine and sanitation machines are now for 2 years. We've had to take them by hand and wash them at Sandilands for 2 years. I said, well, help's on the way. So we'll try and stabilize the situation. But I call them, in all seriousness, all jokes aside, they're unsung heroes, and they represent quite a few members in the PHA that go up and above and beyond the call of duty in many areas that our minister would know of. And they do such under such difficult conditions that I call them our unsung heroes. And so I salute them and all those who I've met. And one of the things that's been interesting is coming from the media industry and serving at the request of our minister is the relationships, the friendships, the connections that you've met in the course of doing this is something I'll treasure for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm. And you are getting new washing machines.
I'm going to see, after this meeting, I'm going to see someone this afternoon about donating 3 new washing machines, sanitizing machine, and a new linen. Now, I can't do a building until we change, but at least I can get machines that run and operate for that team.
The name of that lady who is the supervisor?
Ms. Comer.
Ms. Comer. She said to us that when the hurricane came, they slept on the floor because they wanted to ensure that the hospital had the linen and everything that was needed. And they were folding these sheets by hand.
Yes, sir.
I thought that was fantastic.
We still do today. I mean, what probably the minister knows better, but when we arrived there is that all the damage you saw, the roof, the laundry and the stuff, what hadn't been repaired since Hurricane Matthew in 2016.
So when you look at the public experience, and again, we're restricting our conversations to Princess Margaret, but we could very well be talking about the Rand or Sandilands. People have a visceral response, and that visceral response is oftentimes misinformed because the simple belief could be that the people that work here don't care. But what you don't know is that Mrs. Culmer and her staff are manually doing things that they ought to have equipment to do, and that they're working much harder than anybody else would with an equivalent function. And they do it out of love. They do it out of concern. They do it out of care and compassion for the Bahamian people that they feel privileged to serve. And they do it every day. And when you go in the kitchen, and I hope you had some bread in the kitchen, okay?
No,
so,
too late.
you know, you have staff that work in a cramped environment that is horribly outdated, and yet they provide nutritious meals for patients, for staff, for visitors every day. And, I got in trouble with the bread, and I admit that.
Best bread. Best bread.
But they managed to work their magic. Imagine what they could do with the appropriate facilities. And so what we'd like to do now is to take that from being a wish, a dream, a fantasy, and make it happen.
But Minister, being in the medical field, there's this tendency to put your emphasis on medical people, the doctors, the nurses, these kind of people, right? But I think in this situation, you need planners. You need planners and the people who specialize in healthcare planning. And I think that has been what is lacking, because as a population grows, all right, anyone would know that your healthcare requirements will grow as well.
I beg to differ a little bit. I think that we have had many of the skills needed, but we were not all singing from the same hymn sheet. We have had a siloed approach whereby what's happening at PHA is not reflective of what is needed at Princess Margaret or the RAND, and we're deliberately not talking about the Department of Public Health. And perhaps the Ministry of Health and its planners really were not connected.
Yeah, but do you have good managers, Minister? Mr. Carron, your people had to take sheets, towels, and whatever else to Sandilands on the back of a truck. Why wasn't a folding machine in your laundry, some washing machines, some dryers? Why weren't they priority matters for PMH?
And that is the question that the public ought to be asking, because we would have spent tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in 2016, 2017, et cetera. And you ask the question, how could this happen? The roof at Princess Margaret Hospital over the children's ward was horribly damaged, to the point that the ward was uninhabitable. That roof, which required, I think, $600,000 or $700,000 to repair, was not funded, and so the ward was left vacant. From 2016 to 2017, and we had to identify the capital in order to fix it. I believe it is now either being fixed or has been fixed.
To be fixed, yes.
So these questions, these very, very important questions, which force us to ask, how did this happen? How did we get to this point? Is only important so that you don't repeat. But now when we look at what we expect for our people, and when we talk about our people, we have to talk about the most vulnerable among us. The person from over the hill, the person from the Out Islands, okay? Let's go down to Salina Point again, okay? Many of those people live a subsistence life, and when they come to New Providence, the expectation is that they will be treated with dignity, that they have accommodations and care and medical services that can uplift them. And if we fail to provide that, we have done our people a disservice. It means in the demonstration of love, and I'm talking agape love, that we are not demonstrating the love that we should have for our people. And so what we need to do is to make these institutions that provide comfort and relief to people in the time of need the best institutions that they can be. You may, as a wealthy journalist, and Godfrey now is a retired agri-economist, have access to other options. But there are many people in this country who don't. And so what we want to do is to say that for you, who requires the public service, there's none better. And we're going to make you feel welcome. We're going to make you feel as if you are welcomed here, that we care about you, and we want to see you get better.
Could I add something to that? What I want to share is that under our chairman, Julian, who you spoke, and the board, it's really quite a dynamic board. The one thing that is not talked about, but we talk about a lot, is patient care, and how this has affected patient care, not only for myself, but for hundreds of others. And the thing, following what Dr. Sands said, is if you focus on patient care and delivering that, everything else will fall eventually into line. The other thing that is interesting is if you go to Jackson Memorial, or maybe Dr. correct me, or any of the other institutions, The level of service you get, whether you go in as a private or as a public patient, is the same. The idea for our board is to make sure that we can deliver that and to encourage not only those that are less fortunate, but those with private insurance to come to the PMH because, quite frankly, Dr. Sands has authorized the digital x-rays that you saw. The CT scanner will be in this month. They are state-of-the-art machines that anybody would want to come to the PMH to use. But we need to make sure it's inviting, it has an ambience, you can deliver the service to get both private and public. And our board and our chairman under our minister's direction has really focused a lot on patient care and identifying what can we really do to transform patient care, which is what he's asked.
Because in recent months, you've spent a whole lot of money outsourcing X-ray services and
Yeah, but that had to be because we removed all of the X-ray equipment in order to put brand new equipment in. The CAT scan, the footprint where the CAT scan once sat is now vacant, and the site is being prepared for a state-of-the-art brand new CAT scanner. And so in that phase from explant to implant, there's no CAT scan at Princess Margaret Hospital. We understand that, we acknowledge that. You can't put a new machine right in on top of the old one. You've got to go out with the old, in with the new. But what that does is it provides a dramatically improved level of service. As we embark on the Princess Margaret Hospital Emergency Services redevelopment, a part of the redevelopment of Elizabeth Estates and South Beach, what you're going to see in the emergency room at Princess Margaret Hospital is a far cry from what you saw as you walked in and saw people piled up body over body over body in the hallways, etc., crumbling concrete, peeling paint, floor bubbling up, etc. It doesn't give you the feeling of security. And when you combine that with appropriately trained and motivated staff that are resourced, okay, because we're redirecting those resources.
Yeah, but in the short term, where are you going to get this money from?
It was in the budget 2018, 2019
Yes.
to redevelop the things that you're seeing redeveloped. Accident emergency, I think it should cost us about $5 million or so in the budget, okay? Elizabeth Estates, South Beach redevelopment, in the budget, okay? The redevelopment of the X-ray department, in the budget. So we budgeted for it, it's there.
Okay.
One of the things that I really agreed to take it was to really sort of rectify the pressing issues. But the real focus is to transform it. In order to transform it, we need to have strategic fundraising. We need to have private benefactors like any hospital in the world has. Jackson Memorial, they call it the Ryder Trauma Center, the Baskin Palmer. You go up to Johns Hopkins, it's the Bloomberg Children's Hospital. Miami Children's is Jack Nicklaus. We need to have benefactors, and we need to have a foundation in place so that they can actually give monies in. The second thing is strategic partnerships. One of our shareholders brought the CEO of Sick Children's Hospital, I didn't get a chance to tell the minister yet, yesterday, to the office. I didn't even know, but they have a partnership that they want to announce where they'll be giving scholarships through their foundation for Bahamians who wish to train in, I think, oncology or I can't pronounce the word, but blood disorders. Hematology, yes, sorry.
Hematology.
Minister.
Let him finish.
So there are opportunities for training, there are opportunities for partnership, but it's really about transforming it and to have a vision and a plan that you can present to the government so that you can go out and get these strategic benefactors to fund the development of it, leaving the government only to do the maintenance and the staffing and training. Everywhere else in the world does it, from London to... So we should be the same. We just have to, once again, under the chairman and the board, develop a new structure so we can present it to our minister.
Minister, Mr. Carron was very clear with us when we had our tour, and he echoed those sentiments about this partnership. And I mentioned to him that he says that there are a number of Bahamian companies which contribute to the work of the hospital. But I think, Minister, you should address your cabinet colleagues about giving these kind of companies some sort of tax relief or tax exemption or business license reduction in because they're contributing to the national good.
Lest the Minister of Finance rebuke me publicly. Let me say that we have been the proud and grateful beneficiaries of phenomenal contributions from the private sector. And so as we look at the dialysis unit now, I have had a number of private entities that quietly come up and say, how much is a new dialysis machine? I'd like to donate a dialysis machine or some dialysis equipment to Princess Margaret Hospital. You are going to be renovating this imaging area. We'd like to do some design. We'd like to do some decoration. We'd like to do donate some equipment. Children's ward. We've had people committed to structural repair, air conditioning, and so on and so forth. And so we recognize that as this conversation has become more topical, and health is topical right now. There's not a single day that the Bahama Journal doesn't have health on the front page, okay? Not a single day, okay?
Circulation.
And what that has done is it has gotten everybody in the conversation, and they have said, look, we want to help.
Yeah.
And we're prepared to put our checkbooks behind the discussion.
We have to take a final break here. We have the Minister of Health, Dr. Sands, here, and the Deputy Chair of the Hospitals Authority, Robert Carron. We'll come right back.